I don't see them in a world where they get absolutely fleeced, but I don't see a world where they get an upgrade of a player
No,
from Jaylen Brown.
no, they're not going to get an upgrade. There,
Like
there is
Giannis,
no, there is no upgrade because we talk. I mean, we talked about top players in the league last week. How many players in the league are an upgrade from Jaylen Brown? Like, yeah, you have the three: Jokic, Wemby, and Shea. Then you can throw in Brunson, Ant, Giannis, not anymore. Who else would you throw? Who else would be an upgrade from Brown? Because the list isn't high.
no, if he's a top 10, 11 player, like we went over last week, Tatum's on your team already. Giannis isn't available. That leaves what?
No one,
Eight options?
everyone else on that list is untouchable.
Yeah, like essentially the only guy on that list that had a Jaylen Brown that I've seen could be frustrated is Anthony Edwards, and I don't like. I would
Could
love
be.
that, but I don't know how the hell you swing that move. Like
You
you get a guy in his prime, like you get a guy young in his prime, and then you trade away Jaylen Brown, who's in his prime as well, but he's closer to the back half of his prime than he is his front half,
Yeah,
and
you'd have to give up. I mean, you could probably maybe you would toss Minnesota the same package, but with the stuff that you were maybe missing in the Giannis trade. Maybe you give up Brown two first, and maybe you throw him the two young guys, Shireman and Ugo, and then you got Ant. But I mean, at the moment, I mean, yeah, we're just fantasizing trades right now. I mean, would I love that? Yeah, sure. I'd love that on paper. Anthony Edwards, the Celtics, sure. Fan me would hate it, because we lose Jaylen Brown. But no, if we're talking on a realistic trade, yeah, no, I'd be happy with that.
but
But
I also
what
think
are the
that
chances of that?
there were a lot of teams that weren't as far in the Giannis sweepstakes as the Celtics and Heat were that are
No.
looking to upgrade. And Jaylen Brown right now, he's the best player available, and that can give you a lot of value. And I think I'm curious how you feel about this with the NBA draft tonight. That is going to speed things up because if teams want to offer draft picks this year for Jaylen Brown, it's got to be done before they're on the clock.
It
And teams
causes a
like the
lot of panic.
Clippers, like the Kings potentially could be involved. The Hawks, they might panic and overcommit to Jaylen Brown and offer too much, and that maybe you won't get a player of the same caliber of Jaylen Brown or better, but you'll get guys who have the potential to be there, and you'll also get draft picks, and you can make that
Yeah.
happen. And I know I see Sarah's face with the draft picks. You're not thrilled with that idea at all,
No, I think that's stupid.
but that's
I
kind of the only avenue you have left now.
No, but no, it's not. Just fucking make him happy and keep him in Boston.
it's
You
she's
can't
not.
force him to be happy to be in Boston. He could
Yeah,
say,
but-
"I'm demanding a trade. I will not play."
But I can fucking pay him the money he deserves,
He's one of the highest paid players in the league already.
as he should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Um,
he's up for an extension in July, but I'd be
No, it's-
very wary of offering him that $70 million extension per year
Why?
because I don't think this is a guy that's going to want to be here. And adding that extension
Has
does
he-
make him trading him easier because the teams that you trade him to will have more control over him. But then again, the contract's more expensive, and not a lot of players are going to be making as much as him. So to make the money match in the deals, you're going to have to add in a bunch of other pieces. So it does make it. It has its pros and cons.
He would end up being the highest paid player in the NBA, even though he's not the best player in the NBA. Like, no one wants to pay that much money for a guy not to disrespect him, who doesn't live up to that much money. If, guys like Shea and Jokic aren't making that much money.
So it's interesting, Sarah. And I agree with you. Say like, okay, run it back. That'd be great. That's what.
I'm too loyal. You know this.
Yeah, and I knew you were saying the whole week you weren't tapped in, but you wanted to keep Jaylen. Like,
I don't think Sarah's entirely wrong. You could, if Brad Stevens and I guess Joe Mazzulla are like, they can choose to go down one or two avenues. They can either choose to either try their hardest and commit to, mending the relationship of Jaylen Brown, or they can commit and be like, you know what, we tried, but we're done. We have to move on to something new. We have to pivot. And that is maybe trading Jaylen Brown, but then let's say they do make a move tonight for some picks and young prospects. What's the direction of the Celtics now? Because you're still technically in a win now mode with Jason Tatum, but then the rest of your roster would end up just being new guys, rookies, guys who don't get a lot of minutes. So it would put the Celtics in a very conflicting place where they have young prospects that might help them for the future. But then again, if you have a prime Jason Tatum, it feels like you might be putting that to waste if you have to pivot to developing young players.